The Fixed Wing Guide channel with me, Stuart Lomas. Beautiful day here in Manchester. Not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm fortunate to live where there is a lot of grassland and trees, and the birds are singing away quite merrily. It's a perfect English spring day today. First, let me say thank you to all the new subscribers. It doesn't seem enough just to say thank you to you all. What I actually want to do is go through a list and say thank you to you all individually. It's a very nice and very surprising situation to be in this afternoon, where I now have 64 followers, and I never thought I'd have 4. So thank you very much indeed, and should you ever comment on any of my videos, I will, I promise, reply to your comment, every single one. Before I start, I'll apologise a little bit, because I think this video is going to be a little bit here and a little bit there, and so it's a bit of a ramble, I guess. Am I stepping on the toes of Jonny Casual here? Sorry, Jonny. What it was going to be was a thank you, actually, to Jonny Casual, to say to him that I'm very much enjoying his watch collecting philosophy series. Maybe he could sell it to Sky or something like that. They could make an opposite to Game of Thrones and make a real big budget thing about it. But I've gone a little bit further than that. Right at the beginning, I will thank you, Jonny. It's brilliant, really interesting. I watched the one this morning that you talked about Noah. I think he was 14, possibly 15, and getting into watch collecting. Absolutely brilliant, and your take on it was fabulous. And even though I don't know this lad, proud. Absolutely brilliant. What a lovely thing for a young man to be doing. And by the time he's my age, I'm 54, if he carries on down the route, what a collection he's going to have. Good on you. I've tried to find your channel. I think you were called Y2K Watches. Can't find it. If you do watch this, or if Jonny's got where your channel is, then let me know. I'll subscribe. The reason I'm going to ramble a little bit is I've also just watched Andy's video, the Adrikos channel, talking about his modus operandi, where his watch buying is concerned. But as always, where Andy's concerned, he goes off, as he'll probably say himself, and he goes far more personal than the original subject would suggest, which I actually love about Andy. So I guess here starts the ramble, and bear with me if I go off a little bit kilter here. I don't know where I'm going with this. So Jonny Casual has now obviously pulled this thing together, where he's now talking to different people about their philosophy, about how, why, and what drives our passion for watch collecting. And obviously it can be many things, and I was discussing this with my partner today, and it doesn't necessarily, it's not just watches, is it? Like, it's cars, it's works of art, it's these unicorn albums that people search for years for when they're a massive record collector. It can be many things. It can be am I buying for the monetary use? I'm going to buy this now, and I'm going to keep it, and I'll maybe wear it once, but I'll put it in the bank vault, and in 10 years time it's going to be worth twice or 3 times what I paid for it. Or is it that you are buying it by way of wanting to look cool? And this was something that Andy touched on. He was saying he bought his Rolex Datejust just to look as though he was a successful businessman, where, in his words, all he was a young arsehole who didn't care. So do we buy watches for image? There's a lot of those out there, I think. Or do we, like kind of put myself in this camp, and I think Andy puts himself there now, and I'm sure that Jonny does, that we buy things that speak to us, that feel and look right at that little point in your life. Now, I say that because something else that we've touched on, people outside the UK may not know this. In Europe, we have a thing called the Eurovision Song Contest, and in 1976, Britain won. And it was by a group called the Brotherhood of Man, and they did a song called Save Your Kisses for Me. Now, the band was 2 girls and 2 guys, and one of the girls was a blonde-haired girl, and I remember thinking how gorgeous she was at that time. Now, in 1976, I was 16 years old, and I've seen that piece of that song lately, and I thought to myself, what did I see in her? But I don't understand. So the point I'm getting at here is that we can go out and spend our hard-earned money now on a watch that really speaks to us now. But in 25 years' time, maybe, you think, well, why the hell did I ever buy that thing? It is, Andy yet again said that it is, we evolve as people. You hope as you get older, for instance, that your palate, your actual taste improves, because you open yourself up to trying more things that you wouldn't have even thought of when you were 15, 16 years old. Where Jonny Casual's concerned, I'm sure he's gone through the point in his life where he started off with like the mainstream of music, and throughout the years he's discovered more and more things out on the fringes and thought, oh, that's fantastic, that. How come I never liked that when I was younger? That's because we change. So the watches thing is very fluid, and I can link this into my view quite nicely about this ever-present watch snobbery. It may well be very good and nice for those experts out there, who I am not one of, saying, oh yeah, well, you need to have one of these in your collection. You need a Calatrava, or you need a JLC Reverso, or and that's fine. You may well, in their opinion, need that to complete your collection, but if you don't like it now, then why would you have it now? Later, not only are you more likely to have a little bit more disposable income, but your taste may have changed slightly, so you may like it then. So you are looking at an ever-changing situation where people who are supposedly in the know about what you should buy and when you should buy it, their information is not as valid as the way you are as a person at that particular point in your life. If somebody gives you good, sound investment advice, if they said to me, let's say if Archie contacted me and said, Stuart, I've been watching your channel and you talk complete nonsense. I see you own a Seiko, complete dog shit, but I can guarantee that I'm going to make you some money within the next 15-year period, and you need to go out and you need to buy this model of a Patek Philippe, and in 15 years time it will have quadrupled in price. Now, at that point, I might sit up and listen and say, well, absolutely, that's something that I could be looking at doing. So we'll be driven by investment there, not by the passion that we all have, or that the ones of us who buy watches because we just like them, rather than going down the route of buying the ones that we think we should have. So I guess, again, as Andy said, and as Jonny has voiced regarding the different philosophies, I think the good thing about the philosophy videos is that it does show that we're all different. And therefore, if we are all different, and it's a good thing that we are, then the so-called watch experts who dictate to us that we all should wear a Rolex. Yes, I know I own one. I'm sorry, but it's my dad's and I love it. You know. I'm not a Rolex snob. And I know I had the itch for my Omega, and that itch has been scratched now, and there it is. I know I own 2 posh watches, I know. But we can't be driven by outside influences, especially people who believe they know more than we do. They may well know more about the models and the calibers and the quality of the metals used and the service costs and the fluctuation in prices and all that kind of. They may well, and I hold my hands up. There are many people out there who are experts in their field, but a good turn of phrase I was told many years ago is the definition of an expert is somebody who knows more and more about less and less. He specialises in that one thing and that one thing alone. I would much prefer to take my route in life is learn as much as you can about as much as you can so that you can fit in with any form of conversation no matter where you are in your life. I told you this was going to be a bit of a ramble. Very odd. I don't know where my head is today. But if you've not watched Jonny doing these philosophy things, it's quite interesting because I own some rubbish. You know, I do have rubbish in a secondary drawer that never sees the light of day. I do have the old essential plastic rubber strapped Mickey take of a diver with a cheap Chinese quartz mirror. I do own one of those, and I got that literally as a beta, an absolute beta. That if it died a death while I was out, you know, digging trees up and things when I used to own a property with a big garden, it didn't matter. You know, I just needed something on my wrist that if something befell it wasn't of any consequence. So my philosophy is buying things that I think I will gain some form of pleasure from by looking at. It is key to me that when I look at a watch, it raises my pulse. Hang on. You see, this isn't it. I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but you know, my Seiko, there she is. The watch that nearly bankrupted me. Now, all these years after, I bought this in 1979. When I look at it, it still makes my heart race. It still makes me think of the weeks and weeks that I was walking by that shop window and it was shouting at me to buy it. Now, but that's what a watch should do. You shouldn't be buying a watch which you know, all you're doing, you're buying it because you think you should, or you're buying it because you go to the golf club where the secretary, you've got to impress the secretary of that golf club, or you've got to impress your boss, or you've got to impress your next door neighbour, or whatever it is. You shouldn't buy watches for that. Your watch should be you. It should be an extension of your personality. It should be everything that you want to put out there in the world, but most importantly, it's something that you gain that enjoyment out of looking at. We all know, as Simon Crane, on many of his videos, you know, I don't need to look at my watch to tell the time. I've got my cooker, I've got my smartphone, I've got a clock on the wall. I don't need my watch, so why do I want the watch? I want a watch because it completes me. And hopefully your watches will complete you. And regardless what anybody says, regardless what you feel is right, because you want to fit in with somebody else's ethos. You've got to be very careful, because it is you who is spending your money, and it's you that 30 years after, as in the case of my Seiko, you're still living with that timepiece. Because if you can get the satisfaction from your purchase that I got from this, you will feel blessed. It's a funny thing, this watch collecting bug, because that's what it is. You know, you're looking at spending anywhere from a couple of £100, a couple of $100, to tens of thousands of dollars, or then £10,000s of pounds, and it's important that you do it right. And I don't mean do it right by means of buying the correct thing, or something that's made out of the correct metal, or is encrusted with diamonds or whatever. I mean, it's got to be right for you, because you can buy a watch that seems to be the right thing to buy to fit in with the in crowd, but it doesn't feel right on your wrist. So I guess we've come full circle to one of the previous videos that I did, that I made the video about what makes your collection worthy. Well, what makes you worthy of your watch is what's inside you, how you're wired, what flicks your switch. And as Andy said in the video about his modus operandi, it doesn't matter whether it's a beautiful woman, or a particular food, or a particular wine, or a particular watch. Nobody can tell you what's going to flick your switch. Only you will know that. And that's the important thing to remember. But also remember is that whilst you have that watch, there is only you that has to live with it and see it on your wrist every day. So it's the old saying, I guess, you know, buyer beware. You have got to go out there and shell out your hard-earned money for something which is going to sit on your wrist. And if you decide when that thing arrives, like unfortunately happened with Andy with his Planet Ocean, and he didn't like how thick it was, he no sooner got it than it left. So you can have all these wild, wonderful aspirations about this watch, and then you can be completely disappointed once it arrives to you in real life. So I guess my philosophy is be careful, be wary of the money you're spending, and be very aware of what's right for you and you alone. Don't worry about image, don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses. I think it's a sound philosophy. We're not bringing finances into this because we've covered that ad nauseum. Your philosophy is yours. I think my philosophy is grounded in financial sense, but that's all. And that's what this meandering is about. Sorry it was a bit all over the place, I have to say. But any comments or questions on this nonsense, as always, down below. If you've got any, you know, pointers about this philosophy, or if Johnny's got any pointers about this philosophy, then let me know. Tell me what you think. Once again, thank you all very much for subscribing. I'm actually quite touched. And I'll speak to you again soon. Bye for now.